today I'm gonna kind of try to noodle. I'm gonna do another noodling day, I think, but this time I was getting into my tapping thing, and I usually stop my tapping thing when my finger gets when my thumb starts to get all cut up but I have calluses on there now that are pretty tough because I start tapping this top string to get what I guess is the snare, is what you would call it if I knew what a drum kit was. If I ever touched a drum kit, then I'd probably, but so I haven't been doing that consciously, I've been doing it subconsciously. So now I'm going to try to work that in consciously, but this time, so I want to do my tapping here. I want to work in. See, the problem with that right there is it doesn't work when you're on the top string, because then I don't get it needs to tap against the fret. So if I'm working up here, oftentimes I mute the top string with my thumb. And then if it's up here, it still kind of messes up the snare. You have to let go to get the snare. And then I notice that if I tap this way with this hand, I gotta reach all the way up if I can get the snare just with this hand. So then I was thinking that I try to work in a normal tune, like a normal song, like just see how far I can deviate from that melody, adding whatever I can on it. Like I always change the tempo, but now I'm thinking if I tap or if I just get really outside, how far outside can I go without losing the melody, you know? This melody, I learned it in this area because when I was learning it, I was I grew up with again, like kind of punk rock, again, like I don't know, like NoFX or something is what I always come to mind. But when I was growing up, I kind of felt like there weren't too many child prodigies of the guitar, at least where I was, that I knew about. But you can play pretty basic stuff with power chords, right? So the fact that you can get like a group of pretty young people together and play something halfway coherent, which is not with power chords, I thought was pretty impressive. So then I felt like when I was doing this that I needed to change all the melodies to the top two strings so that I can play everything with power chords, because I didn't know how to play full shapes, and I kind of felt like I wanted to try to do the power chord thing anyway. So I learned this I tried to transpose this melody from like a piano thing to the top two strings, which took me forever, and it's still kind of messed up because I think it should go lower than that if I continued, but I came up with this. So that's why I play it up here. I still had to go down to the third string to get this one. So that's how I always kind of noodle it. So then I can put the power chords on top of that when I was trying, right? but now I forgot. But now I kind of don't do the power chord thing anymore because that's like the lean forward shape, and I'm kind of into the lean back shape now. So now I'm just like, that's just where I play the melody now. So now I'm thinking I add in like these walkbacks maybe, wherever I can stuff it in, because that's what I've been doing. So the basic melody I think is in the key of C. Let me just map it out here. I go on boom, C up top, and then it goes up to here. Now this is a weird note because it's kind of outside. So what I'm thinking of the key, which always kind of drove me crazy, boom, and then it goes boom, boom, and then back up to here. And then back to here, which is, so when I'm going back, it's right there. Boom. Oops, what? And then it goes all the way back to open A. So that's, and then it kind of varies on that. And it ends on the G up top. So then I'm thinking, okay, what can I do on that? Well, where it pauses, it's like, so that's kind of a pause right there. So it could be like, there's a stop. There's the G. And then it stops right there, so I could like put a fill in there. I'm just walking up all the G's, cage system. So if I took this one, so let's take it one thing at a time and see what I'm going to add, like fillers, where I'm just going to do things outside the key. So if I was like, so I could just, and then do my walk back thing. And do my walk back thing. Seems to stop right there. So there's my G shape, and then here's a G shape. And here's a G shape. Here's a G shape. Caged system, G shape. E shape. D shape. C shape. A shape. So. So now I'm going to kind of noodle around on this one. Again, if I have my pivot finger there, as I do the starting point, I can walk it back. So, but now, how can I get a tap in there, maybe? tap on the top to get the snare. That's a problem because I'm muting this string or I'm playing on it, so I have to like let go of it to get the snare. I don't know. That's what I'm gonna mess with. Let me try a joke real quick. Let's see what I got on the joke. So I'm back to, I was trying to deviate from the political stuff for a second. So I'm back to like the woke Hollywood stuff, which I think they might be changing. I think Hollywood's been losing enough money that things are actually changing, which is pretty amazing. But I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they'll, I don't know what they'll do. They'll probably, it doesn't look good to me. That they're, for marketing wise or, revenue wise. but it seems to me like during the peak of this whole thing, like Hollywood was like trying to do the DEI thing, but they did it just totally wrong because they replaced like typically lead male characters, oftentimes other ones too, but that's the ones I kind of note, like seems like a big deviation to like other ethnicities, but they couldn't stop there. Like they had to make them like super emotional and most likely, if not gay, borderline gay, like totally pretty. And it's like, okay, it's like they gotta replace like a Clint Eastwood character who's like this super like I don't know, stoic person or whatever, and then you change the ethnicity. It's like, okay, maybe it doesn't really possibly work with the place that you're at, and it seems kind of like can't you make, like, it seems like you should just make a new story, if you're gonna, because then because that would be a better way to go, because then you would have a story that fits, everything would fit, but no, they're gonna, so it's like, okay, I could go with that, but then they make like the Clint Eastwood character basically gay and like totally emotional, like gay kind of thing. And it's like, okay, that doesn't really work because that's a behavioral characteristic that's kind of, it's not exact. So then you end up with like we've ended up with a whole generation of like minority, like movies with minorities in them, but they couldn't stop it making them minorities. They had to make them all gay, which is like, if I was like, I'd be like, that's not helping. Like, it seems to me you didn't, like, that's, it's not what we were looking for. I don't know. Anyway, that's how I kind of feel. But anyway, so Hollywood's new genre, emotional blackmail. It's emotional blackmail. You ever notice that Hollywood has a new rule book? And by rule book, I mean a checklist written by the most sensitive people on earth. The same folks who need a wellness break after watching a car commercial with sad music, because now everything in Hollywood is based on emotional blackmail. All of Hollywood is based on emotional blackmail at this time. And I don't mean the sneaky, manipulative kind. I mean the woke kind, the almost always gay kind of emotional blackmail. I mean, they're like, you will love this character, you're a monster. It doesn't matter if the writing's awful, doesn't matter if the plot is incoherent, doesn't matter if the acting is basically 4D TikTok audition. No, you gotta clap like a trained seal for the emotional blackmail, which is typically, an overly gay person that they put in that was a stoic person before they changed this thing, or you get canceled by brunch, for crying out loud. Now I think things are shifting now. I think things are getting better, but let's just take a look back at some of the highlights just so we remember. Let's not forget the craziness. So the prime example here is like Doctor Who. Okay, I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan, but my understanding was that he was a scientist, kind of character, which you would think would have a degree of craziness, but somewhat stoicism to it, as he's like, trying to figure things out, right? So the franchise that used to be about science, logic, time travel, and clever problem solving now turned into a 45-minute emotional support session with lasers. Enter the cutie Gatwa. This is the prime example. This is not what, if this is not what I think this is not what like most people were kind of looking for like representation. You have to choose one thing that you're trying to represent, and then you have to figure out like the story where the thing would fit, and then you do it, right? Because you could put a stoic scientist in there, that makes sense, but then they had to take the extra edge, and they have to make them gay, basically, which doesn't seem to fit like this place, right? Hollywood screams, this is the modern audience doctor. And I'm sitting here like, modern audience? What modern audience? There's only the audience in the present, the contemporary audience, live in, you got to live in the now, people. You got to live in the now. I think they're like, the modern audience is the thing that they're always projecting or thinking that that's what's going to happen in the future or something. And they're already like, no, you have to live in the now. What is the audience now? Like, what do they want? And this isn't it. I don't think that was it. At least, particularly for the, you're trying to market an IP towards the people that liked the IP because you're trying to make money off of it. And like, if the doctor is crying all the time, because look, this guy isn't just expressive, he's freakishly expressive. This is what I'm talking about with the emotional blackmail. This is too much emotion. Too much emotion. They should. The show would be much better with less emotional blackmail, right? Particularly on the emotion side. You can have the stoic scientist is the one that's kind of what they're looking for, at least, or an eccentric scientist. Okay. This guy's supposed to be a scientist. He's a genius. He's a cosmic intellect. He's a time lord. Instead, he acts like the universe is one big group therapy circle, and he's about to pass around the talking stick. The doctor used to say, run. Now he says, I just need a minute. Excuse me, I just need a minute. And this isn't Doctor Who. This is Doctor. Why are you crying again? Why are you crying again? You need to save the world. You're not supposed to be the one crying. You gotta take action. Hollywood keeps calling this progress. I call it what it is. It's emotional blackmail, man. It's too emotional. Emotional blackmail with the emotional part emphasized. Look, I don't care who plays the Doctor. Just stop turning every sci-fi show into a group hug with CGI. Sometimes I just want the universe saved, not sobbed on, for crying out loud. I wrote a song about it. Let me see. I actually didn't write it. I just plugged in my joke into the song. First time hearing it, I'll give you my first reaction to what they give me. Hopefully it's appropriate. Let's see what they got.
Hollywood's new genre, emotional blackmail, oh yeah. You ever notice they wrote a brand new rule book? And when I say rule book, I mean a checklist penned by the most sensitive people on earth, the kind who need a wellness break after a car commercial with sad music. 'Cause now everything in Hollywood runs on emotional blackmail. Not the sneaky kind, not the old school manipulative trick. No, this is the woke flavor, the almost always a guy type of emotional blackmail. You will love this character or you're a monster. Doesn't matter if the writing's trash. Doesn't matter if the plot fell off a cliff. Doesn't matter if the acting looks like a 4D TikTok audition taped on a trampoline. Nope, you gotta clap like a train seal or get canceled by brunch. And the prime example, Doctor Who, a franchise that used to be logic, science, time travel, clever problem solving. Now it's 45 minutes of emotional support group therapy with lasers. Then comes Gatwa, Hollywood shout, and this is the modern audience, Doctor. And I'm over here like, modern audience, what modern audience? There's only the audience right now, in the present, live in the now, people. Look, he's not just expressly, the guy's freakishly emotional. The show would work way better with a little less emotional blackmail. This dude is supposed to be a scientist, a genius, a cosmic intellect, a time lord. Instead he's acting like the universe is one giant therapy circle, and he's about to pass around the talking stick. He used to shout around. Now it's I just need a minute. This isn't Doctor Who anymore. It's Doctor Why Are You Crying Again? Hollywood keeps calling this progress, but I know what it is. Emotional blackmail, too emotional. I don't care who plays the Doctor, I don't care who wears the coat. Just stop turning every sci-fi show into a giant CGI group hug. Sometimes I just want the universe saved, not sobbed on, drowned on, or cried upon. Just save the damn cosmos and keep the therapy for later. Yeah, Hollywood's new genre ain't action, ain't adventure, ain't sci-fi. It's emotional blackmail. The musical.
All right, I think it just read my script that time. You're not supposed to just read the script word for word, Suno. All right, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to check it next time. I feel like but they still put it to music, which was kind of impressive. So I don't know. Whatever, dude. Let's go back to my thing. All right, so I'm gonna try to noodle around with this song and see what so I want to add Oh crap. Ugh, lost my pick. Ah. Whew. Alright. I'm not getting my tapping in there like I wanted to. The other simple tune. This tune is even simpler, but I hate noodling over it too much because it's so like solemn sounding of a song. But see, I learned that all on the top two strings again, so I can power chord it. But I'm not really into the power chord thing now, but that's where I learned the song. So if I noodle that out. Basically in the key of C again. if I can get tapping in with my chords. I heard there was a secret chord that David played. I'm trying to get my rhythm to remember the tune. Heard there was a secret chord that David played. It pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Goes like this, the chord fifth, minor chord, major lift, apple king compose, hallelujah. Okay. Heard there was a secret song that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, minor chord, major lift, apple king compose, hallelujah. Heard there was a secret song David played. Okay. Alright, so how can we add some taps in there or something? I don't know. Or this one. Driving down the road, trying to reach my load. I got 7 women on my mind. From the one I hold to the one slow now. She's a friend of mine. Take it easy. Take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own hands drive you crazy. Lighten up when you still can. Lighten up when you still can. How does that go? Driving down the road, trying to reach my load. Got 7 women on my mind. For the one I hold mad, to the one still mad. She's a friend of mine. 7 women on your mind. Pretty soon they're all gonna want to stone you. That's too many. That's too many. Driving down the road, trying to loosen my load. I got 7 women on my mind. For the one I hold mad, to the one still mad. Once she's a friend of mine. Candace in the